We live? All right. Peace and love, family. What's going on? It's your boy Mario Quinn, and we are here with yet another episode of the Level Up Podcast. This is episode 103. I just want to thank everyone for tapping and joining in on this lovely Monday. I hope everyone had a good, productive Monday, good start to their week. I'm super excited for this episode. Again, we're on episode 103, finally past 100, moving along, you know what I'm saying? But more importantly, man, I got somebody very, very special on today's episode, someone that I've known for a few years now, man. I've done a lot of work with in the past and have seen this person just do really, really dope stuff here in the city. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce my very special guest, my boy, Jeremiah Davis. How you living, brother?
I'm all right, man.
Good.
Mansion and business.
You said what?
With my friends. It feels.
You stupid.
Stop.
Stop it. He come out rapping. Fuck it. No, I'm joking. I'm playing. But nah, man. So thank you for joining me, man. I really, really appreciate you.
This is dope, bro. Most podcasts don't make it past like episode 3.
Right.
You're on
right.
103.
Yes. My one boy, he told me, he was like, man, if you make it past 10, you're doing something.
Right.
And I'm like, I gotta get to 100. You know what I'm saying? And that's why we got the new format. So I'm excited to have this format. You know what I'm saying? He brought a couple special guests with him. His 2 imaginary friends is with him today. I'm just playing. Anywho, but you know, for people who don't know what you do, brother, if you could just let them know what it is that you do here in the city of Pittsburgh.
I currently work for a nonprofit called Amachi Pittsburgh, where we actually mentor or find mentors for youth of incarcerated families. Mm. We're actually in the process of looking for new mentors and kind of revamping. So if you're interested in mentoring youth, particularly young Black males, definitely look at Amachi Pittsburgh, Google that. Aside from that, I'm an artist from time to time. Mm-hmm. Do a little bit of poetry, a little bit of MCing. I've coached in the past. I just be around, man.
Just be around. Sounds special. So talk a little bit about what it is that Amachi does. I know that, you know, we know each other from, you know, doing the Heinz Fellowship, doing their social justice work and all that, and being educators. Talk about the work that they do, and you know your specific role in that organization.
So Amachi is an organization that's been around for about 15 years, mm-hmm. and they are one of the only organizations in southwestern Pennsylvania that particularly focuses on youth who have parents that have been incarcerated or relatives that have been incarcerated. So they provide one-on-one mentoring, which means we find mentors and people throughout the city who want to volunteer. Mm-hmm. It's only like an hour, 4 hours out the month. So you're looking at like an hour a week to mentor. Okay. But aside from that, we also have an ambassador program where we have teenagers. They do like leadership development. They do like political education, things of that nature. Mm. And then we have like family reunification and family structuring programs as well to help families get back together, get acclimated as people matriculate back into society.
Cool. Man, this boy got a mouthpiece on him, y'all. He's good. He's good with it, with the hand motions.
You got to talk with my hand. I'm that guy, yo.
His favorite hand joint is
this you right this here. When I do this one, when I do this one, let's
Heinz Fellows, you know, watching you grow and just navigate the educational field. I feel like you're doing something that is super exciting. I'm sure it's super rewarding. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I commend you for the work that you're doing there. But talk a little bit about the music, man. Like I know a lot of people, you know, probably don't know that you're like one of the illest MCs in the city.
Really like
period. So talk about how did you get into rap? How did you get into poetry? You know what I'm saying? Like what was that journey? The start of that journey at?
My mom actually like reminded me not too long ago. She was like, I was the kid who couldn't really express, so I would get angry and I would just stay angry. Like I remember 4th grade, I didn't get into a football practice like all day, so I'm super competitive.
Right.
But I came home and I was pissed because it was like a scrimmage or something. So she like write it down and I like scribbled a hole in the paper. Like, I couldn't write it. She was like, yo, I'm scared because if you don't let that out, how you gonna do it? So what I didn't realize was that my mom had been always like tinkering and getting it right. And so I took that, and then when it came to the music, my dad played music, all types of music, like house, reggae, hip hop. So I was the kid who was like dubbing Rakim and LL Cool J on the like tapes and dubbing off the radio.
Right.
Like this is early 2000s, so nobody's really doing that. But I love music so much. I knew all the words to the songs, but I wouldn't curse. So I knew all the words to All Eyes on Me, but I wouldn't curse it off. And then around about 11 is when I realized I could rap. So I would like 9 or 10, me and my cousin started playing around rapping, and I was like a little better than them. They was older. And then like 11, I was like, yo, I could rap. And so I started rapping, and it kind of clicked.
Right.
But the reason I loved it because it was the first thing I did that like nobody coached me on, nobody kind of like trained me on. It didn't have nothing to do with my grades, it had nothing to do with the coach.
Right.
And it was like it was me.
It was purely you.
It was purely me, and people accepted it. And I was like, yo, this is dope. And then from there, I kind of was like, yo, maybe if I could say something to like change something to help somebody out with it. So and I just kind of started studying and trying to rhyme everywhere. But it wasn't like, people like, yo, I had to practice rapping and get good. It wasn't a practice.
It was just a natural
It was
thing.
like I just started rapping and I was like, oh, this made more sense than what they said. And then I went to more people and I was like, oh, this worked. Like that worked. I didn't really write nothing until I was 18.
I was going to ask that because I know that you're somebody who's phenomenal at freestyling. The fact that you're able to make sense. That's the I'm sorry, man. I got to be
the like, go-to. I come through
right.
With the,
a lot of people don't be making no fucking sense,
line,
dog. Like, and I've been there where I'm like, shit, I don't know what to say. You know what I mean? But I've also been in that state where like I've surprised myself rapping, and I'm like,
the best part.
I'm like, shit, I don't know where that came from,
That's
but I tapped into something,
Listen.
and it came out nice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But so you said, wow, so you didn't write until you were 8?
I tried. So like, I tried to write. I remember my freshman year was this dude named Mike at my school, and he called himself rapping. So I tried to write with him, but like everything I felt. I remember first trying to write, I was like 9 or 10. It was trash. And then I remember my freshman year trying to write again, it was trash. And then I would like get in ciphers with dudes, and they would spit their written, and I would freestyle, and it would be like either just as good or dope or better.
Right.
So I'm like, yo, I like refused to write.
Right.
Until I got to like college, and then I was like, okay, I'm kind of dolo. I need to start recording stuff.
Right.
Let me try to start writing. And then it just.
So like, what changed with that? Like, what made writing easier? You would say.
I mean, I was always writing. I just wasn't writing raps.
Okay.
So I wrote I got the Poetry Award of the Year in high school.
Oh wow.
And I went to engineering high school.
Oh.
So like I got a poetry award. So that was around the time of like Def Poetry Jam. So I was like, okay, let me try to do it was like journals. And I was like, let me try to write a poem.
Right.
So my teacher was like, that was dope, and I kept doing it. And so I was already writing. I was pretty good at writing papers. I kind of think like that anyway. And so when I got to college, it was just like I need to start trying to record this stuff. So I initially would go in the booth and like freestyle with some people, and I was like, okay, I need to start trying to write because I got ideas that I can't fully flush out.
Right.
Freestyle, you kind of lose that, you know what I'm saying? And so that started that process of really focusing on writing. And I just got really like nerdy with the writing, how many techniques, bars, and styles, stuff I can fit into this. Like I got really scientific with the writing, like
And I've seen it. I mean, we've had multiple conversations, both on the side of education, and trying to figure out how to teach rhyming and rapping in music. But we've also had, we got a joint coming out soon.
I don't know if you forgot that.
I forget. It's gonna be on my new album.
I got the ass cap.
Yeah, it's gonna be on my new album. You gotta send me the beats, but it's gonna be on my new album, which is gonna be called The Mario Party. Yeah. We got a track together called Flavor.
I completely took the flavor and ran with it. He was bro, this is supposed to be just for fun.
He out-rapped me on my joint. No, I'm joking. No, I feel like each verse had its place. I feel like you no pun intended, you really put the icing on the cake there, man.
I took the flavor and I was like, man, I'm about to just flavor this up.
That was one of those meticulous rhyme schemes.
But I did it. I wrote in 30 minutes.
Yeah, that was fast.
recorded in like 2 takes.
Yeah, that was fast.
Yeah.
But it's fire. But we still gotta work out some kinks. It was a little too reverby and other things like that. But that's gonna be coming out. It's gonna be called Flavors, featuring my man Jeremiah Davis, aka Jeremiah Marcel, and my boy Yeshioko. So that's gonna be coming out soon. Dope, man. It's awesome. So what would you say, like, describe a time, you know, being like someone who's freestyled, someone who has done poetry.
There's still people that don't know I do each. Like, it's some
That's
people
crazy.
like, yo, you know, like literally, I was downtown one time.
Mm-hmm.
I was leaving the Juneteenth for Rock Him.
Okay.
So I stopped through Market Square, and it's this dude. They got like they make rings. So we sitting there, and it's this Asian guy. He's from out of town, and we talking. He's like, yo, I really want to do comics. He's like, I'm here selling like tech stuff. He's like, I don't like it. I'm in school for chemistry, but I really want to draw comics. I'm like, how old are you? He's like 24. I said, do that. I was like, if you ask somebody who I am, they'll probably be like Jeremiah the poet, right? And then, you know, Michael Smalls, he walks up, he's like, oh, he the dopest like freestyle poet. And I was like, listen, bro, I just told you. So there's people who know I'm a poet that don't know I rap. There's people who know I teach who don't know I do poetry.
Any of that, right?
None of them know I play football like that.
Right.
Like that I was an athlete.
Damn. That's crazy.
And then I work in schools. It's just,
I mean, I guess
I don't really parade it.
Yeah. It's just like, and there's like levels to it, right? It's like some things. I'm not gonna say that music, poetry is a hobby. That is also a career path, but it's like you also have to have your 9 to 5, and like who knows what somebody went to college for, what they were doing in college. Like,
Right.
You know, you were a student athlete. Okay, a lot of people were that you would never think were.
Right.
You know, but that nigga was on the bowling team, bro. I swear to God, he was nasty with it. No, I'm joking.
I actually had a bowling team in my high school.
Really? Yeah, we did have a bowling team. We had a pretty good bowling team. But so
like, how do you navigate doing poetry and
yeah, I had 2 questions, but I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna break it down because I actually kind of want to unpack that. Yeah, how do you, like, is there like a want to kind of like be known for all of those things, and how do you think you could do that in a way where it's not corny?
Gil Scott Heron once said, he was like, as an artist needs multiple mediums, right? Because there's certain things you can say written that you can't get out in song. There's certain things you can say painted that you can't get out. So when it comes to like poetry and spoken word, it ain't even like I'm past the point of like I want this super career. Like I just want to, if I say something, bro, I just hope it helps you. I want to impact you. So whatever I do with it, I pretty much done everything but make an album that I legitimately want to push. But when it comes to like poetry, I look at that like that's allowing me to go kind of in depth and break rules, right? Where it doesn't have to rhyme, it doesn't necessarily have to fit a particular cadence or topic or subject matter. It's a little freer for me to write. However, I like writing raps because of the constraint. Because I have to be that more creative and diligent, and because it's like I have to fit this within a certain format.
You don't want that shit to be whack.
Yeah, I want it to be whack. Yo, like that's the biggest fear of like, yo, just don't say I'm whack. Like I don't care if you don't like what I'm saying. It ain't your cup of tea, this, that, and third. As long as you can be like, son, not whack though. Like that's all I ever wanted. That was it. Like
that's a New York nigga is judging you. He said, son, not whack.
That was it. Like, and I hate like kind of now it's like you can't call nobody stuff whack. Like, no, that's a good. It's good if I call it like go to improve. But like that was
I mean, if somebody's whack to me, I'm gonna say it. Like if I truly don't like your rapping skills, like, or even singing, like if it's like, you know, because I like things that are, I would say I like things that are experimental in that where you can clearly see that they're taking risks. I love stuff like that. I will commend stuff like that. But if it's a whack bar, it's a whack bar.
What's crazy is like you can't really tell somebody what good is, but everybody know what whack is when you hear. Like I don't know what that's no, not that.
It's just something that it's probably shit that don't make sense. If it's like it's
ain't
not,
even that,
and even sometimes it's like too many big words with no context. Because a lot of people do that shit or rapping too fast.
Oh, the speed rapping but no context.
I'm like, what you saying?
Like, yo,
because I've tried to find a balance with that, man. And what I've realized, at least with my music, it's about one, am I having fun? in my performance of this music. If I'm not having fun, I don't like it. If and then I have to identify two different things: am I rapping or am I singing? If I'm singing, I can get away with a lot.
Right.
But if I'm rapping, I'm gonna give you something where you're like, it might not be like the dopest bar, but you can be like, oh, this is
I want a line you
can
can pull from it. Like something in there you can be like, right. Okay, I remember that.
Right.
That's it. If I go a whole verse and it's not one line that you could, I don't care how much it made sense or flow, like get rid of it.
Right.
I think there's only one verse that I think is incredible like that, and it's Fonte, and I can't think of the song. But he spit a whole verse and he didn't rhyme the entire verse. And intentionally, he
who you say this was?
Fonte from Little Brother.
Okay.
But he got done and he was like, he said something like, and I just spit a whole verse. It's like I just spit the whole thing and my verse didn't rhyme. And I was like, and you go back and you like, it didn't, but it was so dope in the cadence and the delivery. It was just like, it blew. I was like, I would have never thought.
Wow. That's crazy.
It was incredible. As you can see, I like listening.
Yeah, you listen to it. It's clear. You always tell, man.
It's fun to me, man.
Right. So what would you say is like, and I'm going to talk about music a little bit more, but in terms of, because I know you said you didn't create an album, like, is that a goal? Is that something that you're working toward?
It's the hardest for me. It's the epitome of art.
Okay.
Because it's the hardest thing to do to create a single body of work that you can listen to from top to bottom.
Right.
Like think of like songs in the Kid Life. It took Stevie Wonder 3 years, over 200 songs to make that. You look at something like Illmatic. Nas finished that at like 21, but it took him 2 years to record it.
Right.
You look at just different albums, like very classic albums. My thing is like the hardest thing to do is to make an album that you don't skip. And everything fits together. Right. So like that's been the epitome, and I'm a person like I want the biggest shit if I'm trying to do it. Right. So,
hey, you're a bit of a perfectionist.
I'm a bit. Yeah.
I've worked with you.
Yes.
You're like, brother, if it's not done right, we can't do it at all.
You're like, yeah, it's done though. Like, no, it's not done.
You didn't think about this. You didn't think.
It was done. It was done 10 times ago. Like, so that's my biggest like drawback as far as like album goes. I put out a mixtape like a long time ago, but then I've been on a bunch of different singles and I host shows and I've performed, and so it's like, okay, I can definitely rap. But as far as like an album, I look at it like, yo, if I do one album, if I kick the bucket, man, this is what I was. Right. And that's probably.
Well, so I hear you, but I don't necessarily agree. I'm gonna push back a little bit.
I don't even agree with it
because it's like my first album, I recorded in my homie's living room. Okay?
Oh yeah.
He was making beats with synths and computer. It was weird shit, man. It was like I don't even know how he used the Casio to make the beat, and then he was playing the guitar, and it's not. I wouldn't say it's my best work, but it was something I needed that to happen in order for my best shit to come after that. And I think sometimes we limit ourselves or we hold ourselves back because we're afraid of that critique or we're afraid of not liking it. When it's like the shit that I dislike the most in terms of my music is the shit that people love.
That's always how it is.
I'm like, bro, I got a verse where you could hear I'm rapping fast and you can clearly hear me running out of breath. And they're just like, bro, that verse, bro. I'm like, I ran out of breath.
Kendrick, the hard part too.
Yeah.
He runs out of breath at the end, but he puts so much into it.
Right. Like, people like, I didn't care.
He was spitting,
it's like that one thing.
He chokes at the end of the song.
What was it? I was just watching the This Is Pop documentary, and they were talking about Boyz II Men. They're talking about Wanye, where he cracked on and Babyface was talking about him. He cracked on the end of the road. Yeah. That part, but people fucking love it.
Because it's the raw emotion. Yeah. It's just like people live vicariously through artists because we're able to paint. We're able to paint the things that they feel but they can't say. So it's like when it comes to rap, like I used to be like, you got to be super technical. You don't. Right. You don't. Because there's certain things that like Jeezy would say, they hit that like Eminem would say, and it's just like, yo, that was super technical. Right. Go to the next song. Right. But I like Eminem. That's M. And I'm a big. If y'all haven't heard, I forget the name of the jam, but it's on Nas's new shit. Oh, APMD 2? Yeah. Oh God. His first. I'm like, Eminem is fucking disgusting. But speaking of technical, a good example of what you were just saying is
the Royce the 5'9" and Lupe Fiasco beef. Okay, so now Royce the 5'9" shit. That what is it? I forget what it's called. Fuck, I can't think of the name.
Yes, the freestyle.
The freestyle where the video is Lambda. Yes. So the shit was so good that they had to put the words in the video.
If I sit a kid down, I always say like when you watching like Floyd Mayweather box, you don't watch Floyd Mayweather box for the knockouts.
Right.
But if I want to teach a kid how to box, just the sport of boxing, you put that on and you say watch.
Right.
That's what the worst thing was. Just like
it was just like this is how you rap.
This is how you rap.
You rap good. But then I go on Lupe shit, and I'm like, it wasn't all that special in the sense of technicality or anything like that. But it was the level of confidence, the simplicity of the flow, and just how like. He made it clear that it's like you don't need all that extra shit to get your point across. And his shit to me is more of a classic.
And it was more directly in response to everything Royce was saying. Like and then he set it up perfect because he spit Royce's verses on the same beat and was just like, I ain't even listen to the rest of that. And then freestyled it to set you up and then put that into his verse like, and I gave you that to me to show you got to go through him to get to me. And I said, oh my God. And he did that in like 1 or 2 takes probably because he said like I freestyled this. Like I didn't take 7 days to write this.
Yeah. I don't know who won. I had a big debate with my homies on who won that battle. And it was like they both won in a way. But it's like, you know what I mean? But it depends on what you're looking at.
Lupe did more rapping. All of the raps weren't of high standard and quality, but it was still like super dope because he wasn't putting that much time in it.
Right.
I think Royce pulled back because it was going to a space where it was about to get super, super personal. He didn't want to go there.
Right. Because they was friends, wasn't they?
I
thought they was homies.
They was cool. Like I don't think they met each other in person like that. But like
they was on the IG live thing.
Yeah, because they both was getting a lot of followers on Instagram. People like y'all both like talking about uplifting and similar stuff or just information. And they kind of linked. It was like, well, let's do a podcast together and then to capitalize on this. And I guess that turned into they should battle, and that turned into a beef or whatever. I know beef, but it turned into a discrepancy.
Right.
He said, I don't know what the
nigga was walking through his lives though. But anywho, it shit could get real. You get too personal, cuts deep, and then next thing you know, somebody gets shot. So I
don't think nobody's gonna get shot.
I'm kidding. But so do you remember the first time you've ever performed? Another segue into that. And what was that?
Perform rap or poetry?
Doesn't matter.
My first time performing rap, like my actual written stuff. Or
just I'm not trying to.
Because you gotta understand, bro. Like I growing up, it wasn't a cipher. I wasn't jumping it.
Right.
So you talking about performing like?
I'm talking about like you are a featured performer for a show.
Okay.
Whatever it may be.
My first time performing poetry for an audience was in the lobby of Tower B at Pitt my freshman year in college. So I had been writing poetry before I got to college, but I didn't perform anything.
Okay.
And it was just like an open mic thing. Like that was the first time I like said it to a crowd. It was like, that was good. It was like, I mean, I know it's good.
Right. Yeah, I know it's good.
I think it's good, but like, okay, I like it. And I did another one. It's like, oh, that was dope. And I'm like, okay, I can do this.
Right.
My first time rapping, like on a stage that I can think of, not like freestyle, but like I intentionally. It might have been in college, but I like hosted a couple of events. But I would distinctly remember like my first time going to the Shadow Lounge. It was open, and that's where I first met Jaquia May.
Right.
And I was in there, and the band was playing, a DJ or something. I was like, yo, I'm about to just freestyle the song.
Right.
And I told Jaquia, like, yo, I was like, she had sung right before me.
Right,
I was like, yo, you want to make up a song? She was like, yeah.
She good at that.
So I was like, you go first. So she sang a hook. I listened to it, and I caught it. And then I caught the verse. I made it make sense. We jumped into it. We did 3 verses, 3 hooks. Never met each other on the spot. And that's was like, yo, it's dope. And then that turned into like we done that like 100,000 times.
Yeah. I know you both work together a lot. I mean, it's just dope because it's like it's like places like the Shadow Lounge, man. It's like I have so many memories from going there, and like it's just like things like that happen. It's like the people I've met, like I wouldn't be if it wasn't for the people I've met at the Shadow Lounge. It's like I wouldn't have worked at the Kelly Strayhorn.
Right.
I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to pitch an idea for my own shit. Like it's just
Right.
like, dude, like that place, man, was magical.
I met JB there, James Brown, and I ended up getting a teaching artist position at the Lighthouse.
Right.
Like one summer, paid me like $8 over the summer.
Right.
And it was just like, it's like, yeah, you dope, man. Come work with the kids. And I'm like, all right, bet.
Right.
So that
Crazy.
full circle.
Crazy, man. Shout out to the Shadow Lounge, man. Shout out to Justin. You know what I'm saying? But speaking of which, I asked you about your first performance because I know that you've been doing a lot in the area of hosting events. You know, you had the Spirit Sessions going on and everything like that. Talk about how that opportunity came up. What were some, I know there was obvious challenges during COVID, and what are your plans in terms of keeping something like that going? How are you thinking about it nowadays?
That actually came up, man. It was I want to say around like 2014, 2015, somewhere around there. And at that point I was like, okay, I've done so many open mics, like I don't even want to, like I was kind of like done doing the open mic circuit because you were kind of getting the same crowd. And it's like, I don't even know if y'all are liking the material or y'all just like rocking me. Like I want the honest feedback.
Right.
And so I remember Justin starting the Spirit Sessions up, and they were looking for like hosts, and it was audition. It was 3 hosts. It was myself, Mars Jackson, and I think Christina Denise. And we had the audition. So like, I just on the humbug, I'm like, I ain't never hosted, but I mean, I like being on stage. I get paid. I send him my little curriculum vitae or whatever, my CV or whatever, and he hit me back. So mind you, the funny thing is, before that, I had met Justin like 5 times for the first time. You ever meet somebody like that?
It's like, I know your face, but it's me again.
What's your name, brother? Like Jeremiah.
Dude, that happens. What's your name, bro? I forget people's names, so I meet people for the first time.
No, it was like every time I met him, it was like, yeah, I remember you. Like, all right, bro. And so I filled it out, so he didn't really know who I was.
Right.
I did the audition, and I killed it. It was just a host. Like, you had to host the event, right? It wasn't an audition. You just host.
Oh, you hosted a event?
Yeah, you just hosted. Like, that was your audition.
For the night. And there was people there, everything, all that.
On stage. You got to host. There's no prep. You go host. How do you handle the crowd?
And it wasn't all 3 of you hosting it at the same time?
No, different nights.
Different nights.
So I had hosted stuff in college, like little open mic stuff we did in college and stuff. But that night I did like in between the sets, I did like a poem and I like freestyled everybody going to the stage. It was really engaging. But I didn't get it. So Mars got it, which was cool because Mars is dope, right? He's a dope host, dope artist. And so I was kind of like, your ego, like, man, I rock with Mars, but like, I should have got that or whatever, right? So Mars was working on his album at the time. And forgive me for not remembering the name of it, but it's a dope album. You should check out all his albums. But he was about to like release that and get vinyl and go on tour with it and all of that. So he stepped down. So Justin emailed me back like, hey, Mars is stepping down. I want to bring you in. Like, I'm going to bring you in this month, see how you do. And then if you want to take it over, it's yours. Right. And so I was like, I wanted to be like, nah.
Cuz.
Right. But it was just like, but it's just like ego. Like, nah, okay, I'll try. And then I did it and it worked. And so as we were hosting, I'm learning how to host, right? Because it's at first you're up there and you got to realize you're not the show. Right. It's not about you. So my first hosting, I'm like, if I can spit my stuff. And you start realizing like, oh, it's not about you. And so initially it was cool. It started dying down like kind of that second year, but like that last year before COVID, we were averaging like between 100, 150 people on like a Wednesday night in Lawrenceville.
100 people on a Wednesday.
Over 100. People was coming from like West Virginia. People was coming from all over.
Oh wow.
The Paul Keys, gotta shout out Paul Keys. Man, that was dope. And then COVID, hit. It was crazy because it was right before Ramon Yancey, who was like one of the dopest.
He's a hidden gem in Pittsburgh. Because when I he performed here and I'm like, I'm outside chilling and shit.
Yeah.
And I'm just hearing bars and just like just a
Bars,
flow that's
content.
crazy. I'm like, yo, who is
Cadence,
that?
delivery.
And I'm looking, I'm like, yo, bro. As soon as he was, I'm like, bro, you are one of the hardest MCs I've ever heard in Pittsburgh, dog. Like, just
So
he does that shit.
he
That's
was
real
supposed
hip
to be
hop.
the feature. Yeah,
Right.
to the bone. He was supposed to be the feature, and COVID happened. So then we stopped, and so nothing was kind of happening. I saw people were starting to do. That's when Versus picked up, and then it was the online stuff, and we just didn't host. And I was like, I had the idea of like, well, hold up, nothing in Lawrenceville shut down right during COVID. Now you talking about businesses are shutting down, people are like losing money and jobs. And I'm like, nothing in Lawrenceville is shutting down, so people have money. Like, how do we transfer this over? Right. So I'm always think like, how can we help our people? And I'm like, yo, on some Robin Hood, still from the rich give to the poor type thing, right? So I was like, okay, what do I have at my disposal? I was seeing the coffee house. I can't think of the name of the coffee house, but I think it was Ada. Okay. Ada Coffee House. Okay. They were doing like the live artist shows, like an hour, and then people could donate. So the artists would pick a organization or charity or whatever, and they would perform for an hour, and then people would donate, and that money would go to the charity.
Oh, that's dope.
So I was like, okay, that concept is dope. And I was like, well, how about we do a proper send off for the Spirit Session? Because I'm like, we don't need to reboot it. It was 2.5 years. It's kind of dead. And so I kind of like hit the pavement and gathered up enough funds, reached out to my friends, artists, put together an event, ended up getting Howie on the keys, which is incredible, Paul on the drums, and turning it kind of like a farewell event. We raised we ended up raising like $3,000.
Okay.
So everybody got paid, and then like close to 900 went to Homewood Community Sports, which is what it was for. Right. And that was kind of like the proper send-off as far as hosting. And then like since then, I'm actually in the works of potentially hosting some like political / open mic events with Justin and Justin and some other collaborators. I'm gonna put that out there until it's ready. But as far as hosting stuff, I've kind of and then after that, I hosted the I Love PGA hip hop shows with DJ Chevy. Okay. And that was like right before like COVID kind of hit and stopped that. And so that was dope because the open mics of Spirit kind of get you in front of more of like a R&B, kind of a rock, some hip hop, right? Paul Keys band, they can play everything. Right. But then the I Love PGA hip hop shows kind of got me back in front of different MCs from all over the city. So that was dope. But hosting is cool, man. It's fun, engaging. But at this point, like I told you, it's like I do anything else musically. I'm a host, but I want to do at least one project.
Right. That's good. So that's good. I'm gonna hold you to that. Every time I see you from now,
I'm saying it in public.
I'm like, how that project coming, man?
Be like,
listen, that I got one verse done.
Right, exactly. Like, but you can freestyle. Why don't you just? It's not the same.
It really isn't, man. Because I mean, don't get me wrong. I have freestyled in the booth, and I put it out. I definitely have songs out where you probably couldn't even tell I was freestyling, and I was totally freestyling. But if I'm going to freestyle, I'm doing the punch-in freestyle. I'm not going all straight 16 free. I'm going to do 4. Yeah. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to listen to those 4. All right. And then I'm going to do another 4. Be like, I mean, hey, it worked. Lil Wayne's one of my favorites, so it works. You know what I'm saying?
I can't do that because even though I freestyle, I'm feeding off the audience. So as I'm freestyling, I'm thinking 3 bars ahead. Right. So I'm going off of like, okay, that's what they look like. I said that works, just gonna get them. So when you're in the booth, there's no energy to feed off of. So it's like, why can't you just go in there and do? I'm like, there's nothing to. I don't. Right. Nothing to feed off.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I've noticed that I freestyle better. We did a thing, me and my boys. We were just chilling here, and we went live, and we were like, "Yo, bro, throw up some words." And when people threw up the words,
right,
bars,
something right, exactly.
But it's like if I'm just like, give me a mic, all right. Unless the beat is that tight, like if the beat's like crazy, and I get a feel for it, like I can go in for sure. But no, I feel you. All right, so we're gonna move on, man. Family, if you are just now tuning in, this is episode 103 of the Level Up Podcast. We got my boy Jeremiah Davis in the building. We've been chopping it up about his music, his poetry, as well as is hosting. This guy does a lot. He's also an educator and does a lot in that area as well. But I want to get to one of my fun questions. This is a good one for you. I want to get to one of my fun questions with him. So I didn't do this one yet ever. So
Oh man,
it's easy. It's not that fun.
I don't care.
It's really not that fun. So actually, I'm gonna do two.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Number one, describe your perfect vacation or the perfect vacation or your perfect vacation, whatever. And then if an investor wrote you a check for $100,000, how would you use the money?
Perfect vacation. All of my family, like both sides, all of us, because we don't necessarily do family reunions too often. I can't think of the last one we had. So like all of them, little kids, old people, everybody. Somewhere with a beach and bad phone service connection.
Okay. So no distractions.
I don't want to talk.
Right. He's like, I got shit to say.
I don't know. I just want to be here.
Right.
Like my screen messed up the other day, so I couldn't unlock it. I had to get a new phone today.
Oh wow.
It's like I ended up finishing a book that evening.
I could read.
Like I was just
right.
It's just no distractions, man. Somewhere with a beach. I don't know, Santorini, somewhere on the Ivory Coast, some of the beach.
Right.
Something you can't just get to.
Right.
I'm simple, as you can hear.
Right.
Like, I ain't really elaborate.
Right.
Fresh coconut.
Right. Some fresh coconut.
Coconut water. We good, right?
Will there be whiskey on this vacation?
That depends on who's out there. My grandma there hold the whiskey. I don't know. Where did she go to bed?
Right.
She go to bed. We breaking out.
Yeah, I mean that's how. If you're doing anything with family, it's like put the kids down. All the kids is down. Yeah. And the old folk, they're gonna hang out for a little bit, but sometimes you get some old folk that
some
like to
spades.
get in. Yeah, play some games, play
Get
some
some spades out.
Then once that happen,
as far as what would I do with 100,000?
Yeah, so specifically, if an investor, keyword investor, wrote you a check for $100,000, how would you use the money?
So first, although 100,000 is a lot, it's not an excessive amount. So I would look, okay, how much of that I can turn into recurring income? That's a great question, man. I have so many different things.
I mean, I like the idea. I think the smart thing is 100%. How do you flip some of this? Like I wouldn't spend this all on one thing. No. I would take it and invest in something that will give me a return often.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Property is always a good
yeah.
place to put your money. If you're looking for a fast return, I wouldn't necessarily do housing. I would do probably like storage units, because you can set a price. If you evict somebody out the storage unit, you still can move somebody in. People always got to store stuff. If I'm looking to develop something for myself, again, man, you gotta. I don't know. Probably I want to come back to that one.
Right.
I mean, probably like an event space of some sort.
Right.
But I'm also secretly like big into tech. Like we're the world's leader in autonomous driving vehicles in Pittsburgh.
Oh really?
Yes.
I'm scared of that though.
For what?
Isn't there like cases where people got killed with their automatic driving cars?
We already use autonomous tractors on farms. The military uses autonomous drones underwater.
Oh, that's if somebody's controlling the drone.
No, you just set the path.
Oh, you set the coordinates.
So we already use it like the last frontier. It's kind of like the streets and the roads and stuff like that. So
how do you account for Pittsburgh lefts?
No, that's why we're the number one place in the world, because of our geographic location and all that. If you can master these roads, we're not on the grid, everything else is cake.
Yeah.
So
because it's Pittsburgh driving in this goddamn city, the one ways, the goddamn what's that shit? The
two-way one-way bridge not on Google Maps. This up a hill, 90 degrees. You like, how do you?
There's a bridge near where this guy, my boy Ivan, lives, where it's a two-way bridge.
Yeah.
But it's one lane.
Yes.
I mean, one lane,
I know, yeah.
and there's no stop signs. There's no like wait and go.
What about
it's just
that?
Like gotta get it.
That steep hill right off of 28.
Troy Hill, going into Troy Hill.
Yes.
That's just like.
Why is that still legally a road?
That's it, bro. That's just like this,
but,
bro.
Probably something along those lines. But when I say like an event space, it would be, I'm an MC, so it'd be somewhere along the arts, but something along like the arts and technology. Aside from training youth and people just for the autonomous driving industry, you got to think of virtual reality. You got to think of augmented reality. All these things that will impact industries and education that minorities particularly are behind it. We consume the product,
but we're not involved in the,
and it's just because
the creation of it or
a lot of us, we're involved in the creation of it in some aspects, probably not as much as we need to be. But then it's also like, I was reading something with like 30, the largest percentage of African Americans as far as like industries go, we are in the transportation industry most. So like 33% of African Americans, like we make up 33% of the transportation industry, which is the largest chunk of the transportation industry. We're the largest percentage. That's where the largest percentage of African Americans make up in industry. So like if you talk about like manufacturing and agriculture and all that, our largest is in transportation, but that's going to be the industry that's kind of undercut.
Right.
But this was just like thinking, how do we, where can I put money, or how do we start training people for that? So the space, it would probably be something along the arts because that's what I love doing. But in that space, also, how can we start training you and getting you thinking about these different technologies? So if I had 100,000, it'd probably be in some property that can accumulate me some money off the rip. That, and then on the flip on both sides, but also like my cousin does trucking, so probably putting something in that and helping build that business out. Because once you're in it, you kind of can see both sides of it. So it would all be in things that kind of can bring in income. One reason, because I've got money and thought like I'm gonna pay down. I'm gonna pay down debt, and you realize like don't nothing move. Like that was like the worst thing you could do financially. Like I'm gonna take this money and pay down my college debt. Like why would you do that? So, like, you ain't make a dent. Like,
your credit score is still the same.
Credit score is still the same. You look up, it's just like $5,000. You just interest ain't. You're just paying all interest. So
I've been there, dog. I've been there.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Yes.
Oh man, but no, I feel like that's the most thought out answer I've gotten.
What do people usually say?
They're like, man, people say invest in stuff, and like, I had someone say that they would put some towards marketing, things like that. But I think I do believe marketing can give a return as well. But I think like thinking about industry, especially for Black people, like in technology and investing in those things, investing in the pathway, not necessarily the business, but the pathway to that, so that we can have more people involved in these industries. I think that's smart.
Look at all the moves Jay is making.
Yeah.
Like the partnership with was it PayPal?
I didn't know he had a partnership with PayPal. I thought the most recent thing was something with the liquor, something with alcohol. He just recently did that I saw.
But he did a
he like sold something, Moet or some shit.
Yeah, he sold a part of it. He sold a part of might have been like Duce or
something like that.
But he sold a portion of Tidal.
Oh yeah, I did.
And the people was like, yo, why he do that, this, that, and the third? But he ended up buying into PayPal and being on their board.
Wow.
PayPal has its own like platform for transferring currencies. And now when you talk about NFTs, where artists can now, you can set your own value for your art, right? So if you get like, I don't know, Beyonce and Snow Allegra, who's dope. Like Morpheus is like one of my favorite albums. But is her album of the same value as Beyonce? This is Beyonce. It's
Right.
the same value as Lemonade.
Right.
No, but on iTunes, they're the same price. Or it's a couple dollar difference.
Right.
Which the actual value is somebody would pay $1,000 for a Beyonce album. Now artists can price it themselves. So like
I'm like, so NFTs, that shit's so new. I'm still trying to figure out what it is. Is it like a blockchain? Is it like
it is
crypto?
blockchain? It's a non-fungible token that's built off of blockchain.
Excuse me.
Right.
Okay.
So it's
excuse me.
think of you play Fortnite?
No. Come on, man.
I mean
Play no fucking video. I'm
I
a grown ass man.
I ain't on the video game system on my own since I was
Right.
17.
Since goddamn 64.
But like
one.
2K, right?
Okay. I know what you
you know the VC in 2K, like how you can play to get the coins, or you could put money in to buy them.
Yes.
Think of non-fungible tokens. It's like the VC in 2K.
Okay.
So like you can use it in real world transactions, right?
Yeah.
So like it's the.
But how does because it's like, I know it has something to do with minting.
So
as
how do
well.
you mint a blockchain?
It's like, because like there was something. It was a picture. Somebody drew a picture.
Yeah.
And they minted it, and now this picture's worth X amount.
No,
people,
so the blockchain it's because people talk about the environment, and I got to do more research on the environmental conscious part of it. But you use machines to develop a particular, I guess, code, and there's somebody who gonna listen to this like he don't know what the fuck he talking about. But I'm speaking from very layman, basic terms, right? But it's like you get machines and they develop a code or a pattern, and from that you create, I guess, a sequence of numbers that can only be traced to this like particular block.
Okay,
right?
so like a barcode.
Yeah, like it's like like
or
there's only a certain amount of like Bitcoin that exists,
right?
And like now it's harder to mint them because you're getting fewer and fewer. But like, so I guess you use the machines, you create like a certain code or whatever, and then from there you can create these coins that can be traded and have value. It's
my question still is, how does the art, the physical art, turn into a
digital?
Coin?
So it's
digitize it.
So you digitize the art, but you digitize the art and then you create a value on top of it, right? So you ever heard of Beeple? Beeple.
No, I never heard Beeple.
You ever heard of Beeple? You have?
Ben ain't hearing about no damn Beeple. He just shaking his head just to shake.
How do you know what I know and where I go?
All right, you're right.
Who's Beeple? Now,
who is Beeple?
But dude had I want to say the either largest or third largest selling of art in the history of the world.
Oh wow!
Digital. He sold. It's called like 1,000 Days or something like that. So he created a piece of art for like 1,000 days or something like that. He sold it chunked for $64 million in like Bitcoin. He then took that because he's like, I read something, he's like, yo, this crypto's unstable. So he took that and he cashed it out in real world currency for like $59.5 million.
Okay. Thanks.
So digital art. There's a kid,
so
it's
now
like a 12-year-old kid.
How do you like, so if I buy a piece of digital art, how do I?
You can create it.
No, how do I get it? Like, it's on my computer?
It's digital.
It's just, I just got a screensaver?
Yeah, so you have like a crypto wallet, like a digital wallet.
Oh, okay.
And then you can store your digital art there.
And your digital wallet.
Yeah.
So it's just like any other coin, but it's like, that's so. I'm gonna have to do. And I apologize for asking you this many questions about it. I'm not. I know you're not
me on the
an
podcast.
expert.
You know we're gonna talk about like
something crazy.
I don't even have Google.
Right.
Like
right.
This is gonna happen.
Because I got Bitcoin. I got
yeah.
Ethereum
So
and
like
all that stuff.
So like NFTs, there are NFTs you can build that are attached to Ethereum.
Okay.
Right. So like they are on the Ethereum platform. Like, they use Ethereum to create the value. So the dopest thing about it is that for the first time, particularly for Black artists, you know, we don't have a good history of owning our masters and getting our fair dues, right? For the first time, if we handle it correctly, you can create the value for your art. So take like remember Nipsey had the $100
Oh yeah.
album, Crenshaw,
Yeah.
and then did the $1,000 album with Mailbox Money. He created the value for it, right?
And he got that from that book that Jonah Berger.
Yes.
He was talking about the. I got it. I had to download it. But he was talking about there was like this $100 steak in New York.
Yeah, people was like, it's in Philly cheesesteak. People was like, that ain't gonna work.
Right.
But you underestimate how much people want to feel like they stunting on somebody else.
Right.
But yeah, so
hey, from now on, y'all, dance classes is $100. It's like, nah, kidding.
You know, you say that, but if you offer like champagne and foot rubs afterwards, you might get somebody like
that's funny.
I'm serious. But with that, like he did the $100 CD because he was like, I've watched my merch and I know what people buy from me.
Right.
I'm gonna do this, and then it's gonna be a status thing. Now, so imagine
you set it at 100, proud to pay kind of mentality.
So imagine you set it at 1,000, but then people can auction and say, I'll buy it for 2,500. Somebody else buy it for 3,000. Now the dope thing is that after they buy it, so what happens with a CD when you're done with it? Like you either get rid of it, you let it go, or you download something on your phone.
Right.
You delete it, or if you stream it, eventually like you're gonna stop listening to it.
Right.
With the NFT, you can resell it. So when you resell it, the artist gets a residual from the resale. So essentially, you can forever make money off of the album as long as people are selling it.
And albums can now be converted into
you
NFTs.
Can forever make money off of the art. So you can make an NFT out of your digital artwork for your album. I think Method Man's working on a comic that he's turning into an NFT.
That's fucking good. I'm gonna have to look into that. I feel like this.
Dame Dash tried to sell Reasonable Doubt as an NFT.
Really?
His portion of Reasonable Doubt.
Okay.
That's funny.
Yeah, I heard about it.
It's so dope because it allows artists to capitalize on their value.
That's crazy.
Right? Because it's some artists who like they whole hood know them and they dope. And it's like, yo, there's somebody you know that would pay $2,000 to they rock with you that heavy.
Right.
But you got to put it on iTunes for $10. It's not equating to what you actually are worth. Right. Like, NBA Youngboy.
And you're getting cents on the dollar, not even half a cent.
And who sets the price for a stream?
Right.
We don't control the pricing for a stream. Right. There's like less than the people who actually make money off Spotify is so minimal. Like who actually make like 6 figures off Spotify, it's like a handful of artists. And with the with those platforms, if you don't have the right paperwork and stuff in place, and you don't collect all your back streams, if it sits too long, it just goes to the top 10% of artists on the platforms. So like you got to make sure you got all your sync rights, your all of that stuff in place and the paperwork done so you can collect your full royalty. So a lot of people don't even collect their full royalties off of these platforms. Right. So and you don't set the price for what a stream is worth. You don't set the price for what that is worth. So you're fighting to get enough views to make money versus with the NFTs. There's a lot of people who make NFTs and don't make no money like anything. But if you're good at what you do, you can set the price. It's like 12-year-old kids making 6 figures off art. You ever see that picture?
You're talented.
You ever see that picture of that little girl in front of that burning house and she got that smirk like on her face? It's a picture.
Google it.
Yeah, you can Google it, right? But like somebody made an NFT out of that and we sold it for like 6 figures. And it was a picture that already existed.
Oh. What?
And then it's crypto.
Oh, yeah, okay, I see.
Yeah, right?
Gosh,
it looked creepy, but it's funny. But it looked creepy, right? So like
that's scary.
It's digital currency, but then you take that digital currency.
It's $500,000.
Exactly. Off of a picture that already existed. They just minted it and turned it into an NFT. And then you can keep that digital currency, or if you wanted to cash that out, because it's just a matter of currency, you would lose your percentage just like you cashing out on your 401k or all that.
Right.
But I mean, I take $350,000.
Yeah.
After cashing out cash.
Right. yeah.
For
something I didn't even do.
Yeah, I didn't do like.
All right, so family, the more the goddamn story today is that we really need to look into these NFTs. If there's anybody out there that is like actually really dope at this stuff, I'd love to interview you as well, and
please
potentially put something together on how to get this done. But that's so dope, man. But I just heard all those people outside.
Are they ready?
Maybe I was hearing things. But we're winding down a little bit. I want to get to my important question, and I'm going to pack this one for you because you're somebody I know and somebody that I think will have something good to say about this.
I feel like this ain't even your conversation be fun. My shit all serious.
No, okay. It was
just
fun.
me.
I laughed at least 10 times. I'm joking. He bad. He was listening to all the old podcasts trying to get ready. And he's like, man, these are different questions for different people.
I was trying to like not get stumped by Schwab.
No, I'm not. Okay, it won't be that serious. But no, I want to talk about obviously the big question that we always ask on this podcast is like for young people coming up, young people trying to figure things out. What solid advice would you give to these people? But I'm going to pack this up a little bit because I want you to think about
layers.
I want you to think about something that you wish you knew prior coming up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And with that context, give them that advice. You see what I'm saying?
Gotcha. So I recently read a book called Outwitting the Devil. I already booked it. And it dealt with like people drifting, right? So like the devil is not like this person with horns or nothing like that. It's like the negative matter or whatever. But he was saying like I live in fear. Right. So in my way to trap you is to get you to drift or get you like so focused on everything else that you never stop and settle on what you are and what your purpose are. And he was like, I build you into a habit of like chasing money. So you leave college and you find the first job you can get versus stopping and realizing what am I doing? Well, you go into college with no plan and you go get this debt, or you get this job and then the end, so you jump to that job. So I would say I said it to kids this summer. I was like, you all have an itch of what you by the time you get a teenager, you got an itch of what you like to do or what you know you can do. Push through with that and be aware of what opportunities you have right in front of you. Right. I went to like computer building camps. All right, but I wasn't thinking about it. Like I built a computer, cool, but she fine. I'm about to call that.
Right.
Like it was just like, yo, I'm thinking about that shorty over there. I'm not thinking about like
you weren't really present.
You weren't present, right? And so I would tell people, especially young people, like be present. There's tons of summer camps. You do a dance studio. You have youth coming in here, learning how to record this, that, and the third. And it might be a cool place for them to kick it, but they don't realize like if I learn how to master something, then I can use that to go master something else. Right. So I guess the earlier you get that, the less regret you'll have, right? Because you're like, even if it didn't work, I focused on that all the way through. Right. So, without being philosophical, be like, yo, pay attention and stay off drugs. Like life is going. Right. One thing about it is like, if your life go perfect, you ain't living.
Right.
True. Like, you chose it because
there's no perfect.
You chose it because you had to learn something.
Right.
That only you had to learn. And eventually you get to that point where it's like, yo, you try to explain it, don't nobody get it. It's for you. So I can't safeguard you from all the troubles. I wouldn't want to, but it's just like be observational and observe and pay attention, because it's easy to kind of shut down and get numb if you're from certain environments or certain backgrounds. And it's just like, pay attention to what resources are there, and don't just treat it like, man, I'm about to just go here and get this pizza and go home, or like I know I'm about to go to the studio with Mario and rap, and it's just like, why are you rapping?
Right.
It's nothing wrong with it, but like, are you studying it? Are you paying attention to it? If it's just an escape and be fun, cool. But then, what do you actually like to do? If all your homies rap, but you really like to, I don't know, play with like Roblox, or you like
to model cars,
or you like rocks and nature or whatever. Like,
that's something.
Be aware of that, right? And don't just, I just want to rap because I don't know what to do. Like, no, you kind of know what you like, and the earlier you embrace that and don't get caught up in the distractions, and if you can afford to, don't just go chase a check at a younger age. If you can. If you can't afford to not.
It's hard. That's hard though, because like we both worked with teenagers.
Oh, they need money.
And all they want and need, they just like, I need money.
But they're saying I need money because they don't know what to do.
Right.
you turn dancing into a business.
Right. True.
That's you not doing that thinking I gotta get a check to
Right.
provide. It's like, okay, I need to make some money, yes, but I know there's probably a point where you was like, I don't know where this is gonna go, but I know this is what I'm supposed to do, and I'll figure it out.
I'm still figuring it out.
No, like you never stop. We all kind of have that itch, but it's just like it's easier when you're younger to kind of follow that. The older you get, the harder it is to be like, this is my itch, and because you get more responsibility. So it's like, I mean, I told my little sister that she's one of the dopest artists. She does painting, all of that stuff. She's super dope.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, she called me. She was like, I want to take a job at like a family daycare, like one of my godmom or whatever. And she's like, they're gonna pay me like 20 some an hour. I was like, Sabria, you just designed costumes for the city parade. You don't know anybody in the history of our city that's done that we can name, especially not a young black woman that was 21 at the 20 at the time. Right. I was like, why are you about to go take a job at a daycare to make some extra money? You don't need the extra money. I'll give you some money. Right.
Like, you want somebody here, girl.
But the experience you about to get, you can't miss it. So, and again, this is subjective, man. If you gotta work, you gotta work. Right. And I've been help people get jobs. Like I'm always for do that, but don't get caught up in the cycle of have to work. I have to make sure I get a job because that's going to never end. Right. You know, and it don't mean that you're supposed to be doing music or just be an artist. It means like stop. Now, if you are working in a job and you do like that, actually pay attention to how the job functions so that you can learn how it functions and you can utilize and capitalize yourself.
Bro, I swear to God, I had a job at 7-Eleven. I hated that job with a passion, but I had a kid on the way.
Hey, listen, you gotta do it.
But what made the job worthwhile was all the back end management stuff that I was paying attention to. Exactly. How they recorded things, how they recorded the products, how they, you know, all the shifts changes. Exactly. And like, so now, like, I was like, okay, how we had to count the money. That was the biggest thing that I literally had. That's crazy, bro. Somebody's dog. But we used to do these paper purchase forms, right, at 7-Eleven, and I made us start doing it here. We were able to keep track of who was buying what, when they was buying it, why they was buying it, and it allowed us to be like, wait, you don't need to keep buying this shit. You know what I'm saying? There's a better way to do it. But yeah, the point, I think like if you're gonna do a job, especially if it's to at least just make a living, you know, and it's not something you want to do for a living, learn how it operates. I feel like that's super important.
And then in part of, I mean, at a certain point, you kind of got to make a decision about what you're going to do, right? Like, and that's as an adult, like that means you're gonna have to sacrifice some stuff you love, right? But it's in the third, you know. Hopefully, everybody can find a dance studio and turn what they. But that's not reality, man. Right. But I mean, like you kind of know, you have an inkling of what you are interested in, what you want to do, and I always tell people. I was telling young people this summer, I'm like, yo, whatever you love doing, you're going to come back to it. I don't care if you work in construction because it's good money on your downtime. If you're a poet, guess what you're going to be doing on your downtime? Right? If you sell insurance, you're going to try to make enough money insurance so that you can hop on your motorcycle because that's what you love. So you're going to always come back to what you love at one point or another. So the earlier you can turn that into something that's a revenue, the better. Right?
Because I don't think I'm like when I'm 60, I'm gonna still be popping and locking. I'm gonna be at the cookout like,
yo, with a bad hip, put a bad hip. Like you gonna, I can't go left. I can't go left. So that's what I'm saying. Like you know, you got your grandma Hussein, like she gonna say, or you got the person who knit. Like why? I just knit. I don't need anything for it. I worked crossing guard. I was police officer, but I knit, or you know, you got the person they just tell jokes, like they just funny.
Like Uncle Mark, man.
Yeah, like they just funny.
Let me get you a YouTube channel
together.
Like,
yo, they just funny, and they probably work in a factory, but they like my uncle's the greatest poet I've ever read. He worked in a factory, you know, he's still trying to hopefully get that book out. But he has some of the, when I say some of the greatest poems I've ever read in my life. He worked in a factory, and there's nothing wrong with that. He had family, kids, and all that, but it's like he still writes. He don't work in a factory anymore, retired, but he still writes. So you'll always come back to what you love. So the earlier you can not get distracted by like I have to go get back, or even if you do it with the sense of how can I do this until I have time to get that. Because the worst thing is when you don't find time to like do that thing that you got to itch for. You got to try to find it and it's not there.
It's not there. It's for some people like it destroys you. It's like people, it's like elderly people who like they retire and then they die.
Damn.
Like I mean that's more so like movies and shit.
No,
like,
like,
you know what I mean?
like that thing that kept them alive is gone. But that's the book Outwitting the Devil. Like that's the trick. I want you to get distracted enough to get into a pattern where you kind of forget who you are and what you're supposed to do to bring light. So it's just like, and they don't, because of entertainment and media and all of that, it's the immediate thing is if you're not a creative or artist, like, no, man, some people are dope chemists. Like they do chemistry and they just know chemistry. They know how it works. And it's just like, yo, I've studied it. Chemist, it don't click. Like I get it about this much. Past that, I don't. Some people it just makes sense. And it's like, then that's what you should do.
No, that's real.
So I mean that's my advice, man. Don't try not to get so distracted to where you get into a bad path.
Love it.
Try to survive.
Love it. I'm gonna give him a couple slow snaps for that, family. All right, but before we get off, again, Jeremiah, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for being so insightful. I thought we had some fun moments, and I laughed. Okay, since we're playing, but if there's anybody out there that wants to connect with you, man, want to collab, want to, just get with you, let them know where they can get at you on social media.
J_Marcel90 is on Instagram. Jeremiah Davis is on Facebook, and then Jeremiah Marcel. If you Google that, anything as far as music, SoundCloud, all that stuff will come up.
You got a SoundCloud?
Yes, I was about to tell you all the stuff on the SoundCloud. I think I recorded like in my closet, like at my crib, one of my old places. So the stuff on SoundCloud is
Dumbo.
Yes, Dumbo. But it's what I'm saying. I'm
gonna text you every day like, hey, bro, you want to come record? You need studio time?
You always tell me that.
Like, bro, you need some studio time?
Yeah.
Well, you don't want to record at Level Up? That's fine. You want to go to Hotbox?
Right.
That's what I mean.
But yeah, so hopefully the project's coming soon. And that's it, man.
Cool.
We ain't get the freestyle, but it's cool.
I forgot about that. That dog keep barking and shit, and I know they outside waiting.
Yeah.
But family, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. This is episode 103 of the Level Up Podcast. Of course, you can get at me, Mario Quinn, at The Mind of Quinn on all social media platforms. Please, please, please follow Level Up Studios at Level Up PGH. And of course, check out our website, leveluppgh.com. Also, hit on that Apex PGH tab so you can support our expansion project. It's really important to us that we offer more of what we do at a broader scale. So we need your help to do that. And so please check that out again. That's leveluppgh.com/Apex PGH. This has been, again, episode 103 of the Level Up Podcast. Your boy Mario Quinn, Jeremiah Davis. We up.
You sound very professional, man.